You don't know wisdom. It's all good.
I got nothing. Got nothing here. No. Just a couple things, because I really was sort of, I said I was working on things yesterday, and I was just finding myself at a little bit of a loss, but anyway, I just thought I'd share a couple things. The one just being a simple, what I'll call hamburger helper. And actually, did you know, like today, I think or right around now is like 50 years ago, hamburger helper was created. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but
I think we bought the first box of it at my house.
But I know, at this time of the year, the season, being home, we start to get a little like, oh, same old, same old. And I know, Mo, you've always, say like, oh, what are some ideas or some things? But I found just a quick and easy, and I'm calling it hamburger helper because it doesn't have to be meat. It could be meat or just veggies and stuff. But I've been taste testing these out. And if you like the Indian, guys, Tasty Bite and Maya Kamal. There's a whole variety of these, and what I like about this is that this doesn't have to be the main thing, in the sense that like I can cut up a bunch of veggies and then even just use half of the bag or use all of the pouch, but it just gives you a whole different flavor profile in a super easy, quick way, and just gives some little pizzazz. I'm just showing you.
What's in there?
This one is Everyday Doll. It's green garbanzo, corn, and coriander. There's like black chickpea. This is vegetables in a coconut cream.
Oh, fun.
So it's just like a nice carrier. You can use half the pouch. I've just been using this one's kidney bean, carrot, and tamarind. And I've just found they've all been really tasty, and I just use that as sort of a supplement sauce to whatever. So the other night I had some leftover ground turkey, just put that in there, had some zucchini and peppers, and then just used a little bit of the, or half of the bag, and it was like, oh, it's something different. Just a different flavor. Right.
You were going to talk about the healthy foods, and I am going to chow down on a burger and fries from Social Still.
That's totally a-okay.
While we're talking. And I'm going to apologize for that and try not to be too rude.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, it's more.
I'm starving.
Yeah, no, that's totally good. And it doesn't necessarily have to be healthy. It's more just finding some flavor and finding some interest and finding some just some different, I think, getting out of some of the ruts of, okay, what am I having again tonight? Right. So I really like these brands, and I've been impressed with them, and they're on sale at Giant, just so you know. Also, there's a bonus. I know that doesn't help Mo and Tally, but
I probably find them our Kroger / Smith's has a lot of that kind of stuff. They're pretty good.
Yeah, it's just a fun, simple thing. If you might just, it's easy to just go right past them, and it's like, oh wow, these are great. They're really just really nice sauces. And just add a little. And again, if you're not a big curry person, you don't have to add a lot to it. Just add, part of the package, and just to give and it could just be a little side dish. Just to add a little oomph, because I think I don't know about you all, but sometimes I'm hitting the wall, right? It's like, how do we do?
I was just gonna say, I tried some of the Maya, the Everyday Doll from Maya, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And they're really good. Like, and even like they're not too curry. Like I tried with a black lentil, maybe one, and it was nice. It reminded me more of like a black bean soup. Like,
yes. Yeah.
type thing. And so, I mean, like you said, I mean, it did add a nice flavor boost, and it wasn't too curry flavor if you're not a curry fan.
Right, right. Yeah. And that too, if it feels too, yeah, they're more.
There's sodium content on those, because so many packaged sauces like that are really high. I'm just curious.
Yes. This is actually let's see, this one for half the bag is 320. So 640 for the whole, which I don't think that's decent. Let me just check.
Yeah.
600. Yeah, 600. So they're running around 600 for the whole pouch. Now this one's
Pretty good.
Yeah, this one's 950. So the Tasty Bite's a little bit higher.
I was thinking Tasty Bite hasn't had a little more sodium.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But otherwise, yeah, I think 600 is, yeah. Usually I know sometimes they're like, oh, 1200.
It's the first thing I like, and per serving too, you know, and that I find is the first thing I always look at on packages like that, because that's my personal sensitivity. So I have to, like, a lot of that stuff, I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I love it.
Never mind.
No.
You know, and then I'm like, I'll just make something.
You know, luckily though, a lot of things are becoming low sodium. I picked up, just got back from Target. We're having a friend made enchiladas tonight for us for dinner, and they had low sodium. Amy's had a low sodium refried beans, organic. I was like, nice. So more and more.
Yeah.
They're super sensitive to it, so we have to be.
Nice.
We have to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know in our house, we just always get if we get the Amy soups, there's some, low sodiums, because some of the soups are crazy. It's you turn them
Soups are the
around.
worst offenders.
We make our soups now.
1200. It's like, well,
soups are terrible.
oof, yeah.
Because it always sounds like a good idea. Like, oh, have some cans of soup on hand. I'm like, never mind.
Yeah.
But you can make it. You can make soup and freeze it into individual things, and you just pull it out of the freezer. And it's just that time of pain that you got to make it.
Yeah, and when I freeze it, I tend to do it in one big container instead of doing that in smaller single serves. And I prefer my own soup anyway. It's I don't think about storing it that way, and you're completely right. It makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And I'll do beans too as well. I'll buy the dried beans, dried pinto, cannellini, and make them in the crock pot or Instapot if you have that, I guess.
Yeah.
And do the same thing, freeze them. That way you're not getting the canned. Pull those out. Yeah. But I love the Indian food. Indian food is like my new favorite thing.
Yeah. It's just
God.
Pardon me. What, Holly?
Yeah. Long standing favorite here.
Nicole's a little on the fence, right? It can be a little. We'll work you into the curry. We'll work you in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working into it. I've done more of I love Thai food. I love, like some more of the Asian than Indian.
Yeah.
But I'm working my way there.
But they're all in the same neighborhood.
Yes, that's what I said.
But really different flavor profiles too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I think the like more the Thai curries, those are more, like about the actual like curry plant, whereas like Indian curries tend to have so many other types of flavors, and they use a lot of cumin, and they use, and those flavors can be tough, for people. But I think some of the Thai curries are a little easier, like red or green, or even like, masaman.
Yeah.
Maybe, like a little bit sweeter profile, or.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But we'll just kind of work. And again, in most of the, most every curry is our good friend turmeric, which is an anti-inflammatory. So, really good for our system. So, if we, and certainly not forcing it on, if you don't like it, don't It's really about if, hey, I'm enjoying this flavor profile, then, and great, it's got the added benefit of turmeric rather than necessarily having to take another pill, a supplement of turmeric. And that certainly can be an option. But if we're also, I would much rather have the nutrients come through food than have to take it through a pill. But certainly these days, oftentimes we do need to get that extra boost, but hey, benefit. All the curries have the turmeric, so that's a nice benefit as well. So very cool. So that was just my little quick, open a pouch, add, whatever, veggies and protein, and boom, you got a meal there. So, and then what else was I going to talk about? And I think the other thing was just giving us a little focus. And I know Tally was just talking about, well, both of you, Tally and Holly, talking about our soups. And I know you gave that great book on one of our early calls about making soups, but just maybe a little re-emphasis as we're looking to continue to help support our immune system and support our gut health, remembering our bone broth and why bone broth is so good for us.
What book was that, if I might ask?
What's the name of it, Tally? Your recipe.
Oh shoot. I
have it on the website.
Yeah, I can email it to Susan. She can send it out.
But
it's made by DK is the publisher, but yeah, it's a great book because it has specifically for immune support, detox. And it's all, most of them are blended, like 90% of soups are blended soups. But I can send it to you, Susan.
Well,
you can send it out.
It is actually, if Holly goes on to my website and onto the member page, I'm just going to look at my videos.
Let's see. Oh, is that where I have to go?
Yeah, you go into the membership. Oops.
All right, hold on. That's going to take a minute.
It's just a practice run for you.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get in there. Okay. So in coaching calls,
Oops.
so did you get in there? So
no, I didn't.
Okay, that's okay. But
no, I didn't put in the password correctly.
Okay.
Trying to type with one hand and left-handed at that, and hold, honestly, my burger with the other hand. Okay, so I'm in there. I see videos.
So above there, it says coaching calls, and then it says recording coaching calls and notes. Click here. If you click on that whole line, there it will tell great cookbook.
Look at that.
Tally, Souping by Allison Velasquez.
I've never heard of it.
I was looking for it and I couldn't find it yet.
No problem.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, so there's some.
Always looking for good soup stuff. I love soups.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just, even though Mo's down in Florida in warm weather, we still remembering that most of our immune system and our immune support happens in our gut. And so that's why that bone broth is so vitally important, versus, it's appropriate now because it's great soup time, even when it's 80. Right, Mo? But you've got the breakdown. What's so valuable about the bone broth is you've got the breakdown of the collagen and the minerals of the bones that gets into this gelatin, basically. And that's what helps, restore and nourish the lining of our intestines, that helps prevent leaky gut, which is often what we look at when we've got some autoimmune issues. So, some when you've got leaky gut, you've got some basically like little holes in the villi, in the spaces in between, and food particles actually make it past the blood barrier and get into your blood system. So now the body's saying, oh, wait a minute, I've got an invader, I need to attack it. And then it starts attacking itself. So the breakdown of the bone broth, it's very nutrient dense, helps it helps again restore the lining of the intestine. So those villi, we don't have those leaky, the mucous membrane there. I'm just doing fingers because it's like little fingers, right? In our intestines. Sorry, I'm I'm too visual. And so that helps restore that. Also interesting, there's like glucosamine, chondroitin, and hyaluronic acid, which sound like supplements, don't they? Right? It's like, oh, those are joint supplements. Well, that's what's in bone broth, basically, what's broken down from, of course, from bones and cartilage from the chicken or from the animal or the fish. So you're getting those materials in a pretty bioavailable method of broth, right? That rather than a capsule. So that's also in the broth. And then you're looking at, trace minerals, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. There's a whole host of trace minerals that again are in the bone that breaks down, and now we have it in liquid form. And then let alone amino acids. So I know probably most all of you know that, but sometimes it's a good reminder, like, why am I drinking this bone broth? It's really, it's healing. There's a reason that, oh, you're sick, drink some chicken soup, because you're getting the bone broth, you're getting all of that nutrients to help the intestinal lining, which that in turn produces a lot of our immune support and immune health. So, go ahead.
Susan, what are your thoughts on like cooking time? I mean, I make broth quite a bit, and it's always interesting because it always seems like there's a slightly different result, just in terms of like how thick or gelatinous it becomes. And, and I'm sure some of that is like ratio of bones to water and
right.
Blah. I do let it cook for a pretty good long time. In fact, I just made some broth the other day. And but like what do you think like optimally as far as cooking time to really extract the greatest benefits?
I think the beef, the meat ones are definitely tougher. It's probably well now too, I guess, with some of the methods. I
do it the old-fashioned way in a pot on the stove.
In a pot on the stove.
I don't know, no fancy, like no pressure cooker.
I think you can do it in Instapot.
No, like Instapot. Don't.
Right. That's why I was like,
in a pot on the stove.
Shoot,
and it's like I probably let the beef. I probably between like 16 and 24 hours total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, like I let it, and the chicken like a solid 12 to 16 at least.
Do you leave it on overnight?
It depends how trusting I'm feeling. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll turn it off while I sleep. And then, it's going to come to a boil the next day. I've never had a problem with any,
Right. Yeah.
things, because I'm just gonna keep boiling it so like I'll cook it for 8 hours, one day, I'll cook it for another 8 hours the next day, and then I'll finish it off. Because usually what I do is I cook the bones in just the water, with some cider vinegar. And then as time goes on, like I'll start to add other stuff. And usually in the last like 4 to 6 to 8 hours, then I'll throw in
Carrots, celery.
Like, yeah, the veggies, whatever I have, carrots, onions, celery, turnips, whatever's laying around. If I have some seaweed, I'll throw that in. And it just depends, but I try to let the bulk of the cooking time just be like the bones in the water with the cider vinegar. And then I'll add kind of that last bit during the last number of hours, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's always just,
Cool.
and it's always a mess to clean up, but whatever. There's fat everywhere. You pray to God you don't spill it because it will be horrible to clean up. Just,
Yeah.
you want that fat to solidify before you
Yeah.
get rid of it.
I mean, I probably do like a little quicker, with the chickens, there's certainly less. I'm probably like 2 to 4 hours and kind of get enough out of that. But I know it should be probably more 6 to 8 and probably 10 to 12 for the beef bones.
Yeah.
But hey, I think, if you've got that time like that,
it's a weekend
in the kitchens, what would happen is you were just adding, like you would just keep like a demi glaze. You're just going to keep adding and adding. So I think it's more a matter of like, what do I have time for?
Yeah.
And getting it to the concentration. It's really just going to be more a matter of probably volume versus like concentration versus volume. So the longer you are, probably the more concentrated it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a greater extraction. At some point, I think it's probably the extraction of minerals probably stops, and then it's really just a flavor and a concentration of that. So,
well, I do like it to taste good as well.
Right. So then you're looking at like probably closer to like a demi glaze is what you're creating, which is a beautiful flavor profile, which is awesome. But as far as like getting the nutrients out of it, it's probably, it might be like half of that time, but then what you're creating is really rich deliciousness.
Usually it's pretty tasty. I mean, because I want it to taste good, because I'm going to drink it by the mug full.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
I was just going to say, that's a thing too, that I think in when we're talking about bone broth, and certainly you don't have to be making that. So don't feel, anybody else like, oh crap, I got to spend 12 hours cooking a chicken thing on the stove. I mean, there's certainly there's certainly some good broths that are, frozen, organic bone broth out there that it doesn't have to be a soup. You can be drinking it in a sense of like a tea, or you can water it down a little bit, but that can be just something during the day. Instead of a cup of tea, it might be just, a cup of warm broth.
It makes a nice, I had to, like, when I drink it, a lot of times, if I'm just drinking it that way, even though it probably, has plenty of collagen in it, a lot of times I will add a scoopful of collagen powder to it. And then like, I'll usually melt in a little butter or ghee and some salt. And that, it just makes it a nice, something to really drink and enjoy it, instead of it, kind of being like, well, I should do this,
Right. Gotcha. Oh yeah, that's a nice little additional. It's all about the flavor for you, Holly, right?
You do know that by now, right?
So if you're going with the store-bought version, frozen is the way to go?
I find that it's better. The ones in the boxes, I mean, I know there's like Pacific, and like some of the common brands like Pacific and what's the
Swanson.
Pardon me?
Swanson.
Swanson, yeah, they're usually so watered down because it's kind of a lot of work to get it to be a true good bone broth. And like what Holly's talking about is getting it more gelatinous. And so, yeah, the frozen ones tend to be a little bit more, they have more oomph to them and certainly more flavor. But yeah, the ones in the box I find are too watered down because they're trying to fit a price range, and to be like, oh, $4 to $6 or $5 to $6, and it's watered. It's watered down.
Where would you find the frozen broth? I wouldn't know where to look for it. What section would that be in usually?
But I'm just trying to
I mean,
think.
that's like a Whole Foods purchase, I bet. I don't know if I can see that.
Probably. I've seen
Yeah.
them in a couple places, but
Yeah, I'm just
they're
trying
not
to think.
easy. You can order frozen ones online, but then
Yeah,
the
but yeah,
shipping
usually,
is kind
I
of
mean, I know.
expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if there's like a organic section of the freezer, sometimes, like I know for us, like Giant has them. I'm just trying to think where.
Well, if Giant has it, it's probably pretty available then.
Yeah,
I didn't know it
Giant.
was like
Yeah, like some of the other, like even Weiss, like our other stores, but they might have it in the organic-ish section, and it's probably on the bottom shelf. So you just have to
Right.
kind of take a.
Yeah, and sometimes they're in, plastic containers, but they're also in pouches too. So
Yeah, they're usually
keep your
more.
eyes open. They're not, always easily
Yeah.
identifiable.
I've seen them in like a big pouch. That's
okay.
what I
Okay. Well,
have.
this is a good challenge. This is something to go look for. This will be fun. Because I don't know if I'll be making it. You're not selling the making of it very well.
Well, so
Sorry.
I'll give you the non-Holly
Overachiever.
version. Here's the non-Holly version. So you roast the chicken, right? And here's the key is you take all the meat off of the chicken, but when you roast it, when that stuff that sits on the bottom of the pan, that's like a little gelatinous.
Yeah.
There's your start of your bone broth. You make sure
Yeah.
you scrape all of that off of that bottom. And, sometimes I'll just put even just a little, if I'm roasting the chicken, I'll put a foil over top of it. So I keep a little bit more moisture there. I might put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan to promote, some of that gelatinous juice stuff.
Yeah.
But you make
Yeah.
sure you scoop. So after I have the chicken, I might just put it in the fridge so it gets gelatinous, and then I'll debone the rest of it so I can kind of scrape all of that off the bottom. You debone your chicken, you stick those bones in. The other key is like, that sounds gross. I was like, crack the ribs. Sorry.
That's all right. I can handle that.
But you
Good
want to
easier.
like make it as flat as possible so you're not putting too much water and too much liquid in there, but just try and break things up as much so it lays as flat as you can in the pan and then or in the pot, and then I just bring the water to just covering the bones. So
you do fairly small batch, like
I'm doing I'm just doing, it would be smarter to get a couple chicken, like after you do one chicken, stick it in the freezer. That's what Holly does. But
I'll usually, like if I roasted chicken, I'll like just take everything that I roasted with it, once I clean it off, like, cause I usually roast it with some veggies, and then I just throw everything into a freezer bag and I'll freeze them until I collect a bunch of them. And then I do usually buy chicken backs like from, my butcher, but just like saving your roasted chicken carcasses is great.
Right. And if you don't, if you're like, oh, I might not do it, I'll still get a great broth from just one. It's just, I just use the right size, don't use too big of a pan, and or a saucepan, and make sure it's, just barely covering. And then I'll boil that, in a low simmer, 3 to 6 hours. I'll put, the hearts of the celery in there, carrot shreds or ends of the carrot, it doesn't have to be, and a little
Because you're going to strain it, right? Because you're going to strain it.
You just strain it. Right. Exactly. And just, simmer, and then pour that off. And then you'll see even that you'll still get, like, I'll get a nice pint, of good broth. Now, granted, if I make a soup, at least I'm using maybe it's one part, or, one half of it is at least bone broth, and the other one might be just, a regular broth, or I have that opportunity that I can just, do some sips of that. But this way, it doesn't have to be like, oh, it's going to be a big
A
ordeal
process.
or a big process. It can just like, okay, I've got the chicken, I've got all that good stuff, bam, and there I've got at least, a pint of good bone broth that I can either mix in with my soup. So then I know that that soup has a little more oomph to it.
Yeah. And you
Or
could freeze it too, right? Once you make the bone, you could freeze it and then
absolutely.
do it
Yeah,
that way.
So the next time you make a couple, and so, oh, now I have 4 pints of good bone broth, I'll make a soup, or, or whatever, or just.
I love that. I love that because I just throw it, because I love to roast chicken and I usually just throw the bones away. So
Yeah, no, it's great to keep them and
Yeah.
make from them. It's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're doing it pretty frequently, yeah, just throw them in a bag. Like Holly said, then you've got a couple Zoom, and then, but just, yeah, just,
Then
it's
make
always
a
like
nice-
pack it down and then just cover it, because you just want it barely covering. And you might have to add then a little bit as it cooks for that.
Sure.
But,
This will be fun.
yeah, even 6.
I'll report back.
Yeah.
You can use your Instapot or a crock pot or like a pressure cooker to speed it up even faster. We use our pressure cooker, and
Nice.
you can get it done in an hour at the most.
That's what I've heard, that you can get really nice broth pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If it's worth the investment just for that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we've been, our son's been bringing this Instapot over, we got for Christmas from our daughter, once a week. And holy cow, they've been making some amazing things in it.
Yeah. I'm still a little old school, and yeah, I have a pressure
Me
cooker.
both.
It's just sitting in the back, and then I was like, oh, Instapot. But it's just a glorified pressure cooker though, right? It's a pressure cooker than Kim Brown, right?
Some of them.
Some of
I
them.
think.
So wrapping it, coming back full circle, just that little reminder and emphasis as we're getting into the tail end of winter. It's still a great time for soups, but also remembering that nourishment of the bone broth, and really, supporting our immune system and supporting our immune health in via our intestinal health. So our intestinal health is really the cornerstone of our immune system. So the better we take care of that, the better our immune system works. So, so just a little reminder on that one. And so that was my, I don't know, was that a helpful topic? I know we went off on the, we went off on the bone broth. We did a deep dive into bone broth. So cool. The other thing I was thinking about too was healthy body, healthy mind. And I know you all are great at taking care of yourselves. But I did come across a wonderful tool in a course that I was taking in Coursera, Positive Psychology, from the University of Pennsylvania. And one of the things in supporting our well-being and resilience is before we go to sleep. So of course, we all know gratitude is huge in wellness and well-being. Like that's the number one trait that really supports well-being. But in addition to this, I really love this little exercise, and it's a simple one, is before you go to bed, is list in your mind, or you can write them down, 3 things that went well that day. So we end our day in finding what went well. And what's important is then that goes into our sleep, it goes into our cognition, it goes into our brain, and that we're setting ourselves up for the next day. Oftentimes we always think like, oh, start the day in gratitude, and which is also very powerful and wonderful. And we always want to do that. But sometimes we forget the before we go to sleep also actually has an impact in a a forward fold or forward paying off. So anyway, so that was my little nugget that you might want to try or might want to practice is before going to sleep, 3 things that went well.
I like it.
So that's my
Gee,
and it kind of, just it sets, definitely sets the stage and can also, set the stage hopefully for better sleep as well too, and getting your mindset.
I do that every night. And first I get in bed and I think I'm pretty wide awake. I don't know if this is going to work. And I do the muscle relaxing thing. I think of each muscle in my body till I get to my face. And those are always the tightest muscles. So I get those all relaxed. And then I spend time in prayer, really, and gratitude. And before I know it, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens just like that. And I think when I'm getting into bed that I'm so wide awake, but it is amazing what that routine can do in terms of relaxing the nervous system.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I like that, just like finding the idea of like finding what went well in your day. You're also kind of, remembering that day and looking for the successes and reaffirming what the successes are. And absolutely, yeah, the gratitude. Yeah, just it's saying yes, all is a-okay. Let's, and the body, in essence too, you're sending the message to the body that we can move from fight or flight so we can shift our body from the sympathetic to parasympathetic, which is fight or flight, and rest and recovery. So that mental shift of gratitude and finding what went well is also telling the nervous system, yes, we're not in fight or flight. We are actually moving to that sympathetic system. So parasympathetic, excuse me. I'll flip that right around. So yeah, awesome. I think that might be all that I have. Any thoughts or did it spark anything or like, oh, I forgot, was it helpful? Was it?
Everything, all of these tidbits are helpful to me.
Oh, good.
I walk away with more than I knew before we started. And I have to excuse myself. I have to get ready for a family Zoom at 8. I have some
perfect. Okay.
homework to do. So thank you for the tidbits.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Find some doll.
Good night.
I'm going to look in my Publix.
Yeah, they should be there. Awesome. Cool. And you ladies, I don't want to cut you off, but any?
No, very inspirational, really. It takes the whole soup making to another notch, like the,
yeah, it's like you're really, you are nourishing the soul, and that's
and you'll find that once you start using like the bone broth, it's really hard to go back to the other stuff.
Yes.
Like that mouth feel that you get, like the way it just coats your. I don't know how
it does. It's not clunky and gelatinous, is it?
No, because
No.
it cooks. It's like soup. It's not gelatinous at all. But it just.
It might be when it's cold, but once you heat it, it's
right. Yeah, when it's heated, it's liquid. But when it's cold, if it it hardens up a little bit, that's when you have really good,
the good stuff.
It's a great stock. And truly, this is how soups were made. This is how things were made. It's just once they realized, oh, hydrolyzed vegetable protein is cheap. MSG is cheap. we can get
Right.
the same flavor in about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And add lots of salt.
Yeah.
And salt, right?
But,
Salt
like,
and
drink it on its own is wonderful, but when you realize how much better your soups taste with it,
yeah,
Yeah.
you're just like,
Do you
this
skim
is
the
having
fat
a-
off of it?
I'm
Are you
sorry.
skimming? If you skim the fat, are you skimming
So
off the
what
good
I
stuff?
do, because I'm lazy about skimming it, because it's such a pain in the ass. Let's be
oh wait, don't shush shush shush.
So what I
Not
I'm
do
gonna do
selling
it. I'm
is,
gonna
here.
try it.
I strain it, I do the whole thing, and then I either, refrigerate it or freeze it, whatever the case is going to be. Once it's cold and the fat solidifies, I just lift it right off.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
yeah.
no, I don't bother to try to skim it while it's hot, because
Yeah.
that is an
Wait
exercise.
until it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exercise and fruition.
yeah. It's totally futile because it's like once, like you said, like once it's cold, then it's like this nice little thing. You just skim.
So you just-
right. Why bother skimming? Yeah. You just pour it, boom, stick it in the fridge, or a freezer, and then you'll be able to
Okay.
scoop it right off.
Yeah, it goes it's really easy to scoop it off that way.
I can't wait. This will be fun.
It really is delightful if you have time to play with it. Like it can be labor intensive. It can be just, a little bit messy. I'll be honest. You have to throw everything away and like all the bones and stuff. But the reason I keep doing it is because it's
Clearly,
delicious.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna go the lazy way. I'm gonna do chicken in the crock pot. We're gonna try that first.
Do it.
Oh
Then if I
yeah,
have to go to the stove, we'll go to the stove.
totally. Yeah, totally easy peasy.
Yeah.
For me, the crock pot is just too small. Like it's just
Yeah.
I use
You make big batches. You're making.
I
big
do, only because I don't want to have to do it all the time. Like that's my laziness. Like,
Yeah.
I would rather do it once and do it big than like just having to keep doing it, because that is just a drag. So that's how my laziness,
Yeah.
presents itself,
Yeah. This will be a fun project.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. It's
Ready to get home.
And there's no wrong, it's just a matter of like how dense or like, how concentrated or not concentrated it is. That's really all that it is.
Yeah, you can dilute it.
It's still, even if, it's like, oh, okay, this was a little watery this time. Okay, but you're still going to get good stuff out of it. It just might be not as, concentrated flavor wise. So then next time you're like, oh yeah, let me do two chicken breasts in that same pot, and or now I know I use a little less water or whatever. It's
Play with it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play with it.
There's no wrong.
Yeah.
So it's
Be
all
cool.
about getting the nutrients, right, Nicole?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm fading. It's just
Yeah. No, that's okay. I know you get. We're gonna head off and thank you, ladies, so much for coming on. I hope it was.
Thank you. It's good to see you
helpful.
guys.
Yeah, good to see you all. And mwah,
Hope to see y'all Thursday morning.
you got it. Absolutely. Take care.
Take care, guys.
All right, bye.